How's it going, everybody? This is NeroSnare, and this is the re-uploaded character video. So, I did have one before, but I wasn't happy with the turnout, so I wanted to take it down and re-upload a new one. So, this Smash episode is the same basis, always about characters, but this is going to be a roster that I made, and as you can clearly tell, I made it, there are no cuts right now, and a couple of inclusions. And it may seem a little crowded as a roster, but I'll explain my basis, because it's subject to change. But this is what I think are the listings of characters that have a decent chance of getting in the next game. So before I get started, I apologize for any mic feedback or any very poor quality you might be hearing in this video. I don't have a great mic, I'm just using a standard laptop mic, and I also have the fan on my laptop, which is pretty loud, so I do apologize for that. I'm also going off the top of my head, so I may stutter here or there, or maybe more often, just like there. So I am trying to get my point across, it just may be a little bumpy, and I'm sorry about that, but I also am gonna try my best. And just one more thing, it's my opinion, you really don't have to agree with me. But if you want to, then hey, good. Okay, so let's get started. So the Mario franchise, I left at the 5 characters that we had shown off already, because there's really no need to add anyone else, so I think we're good on that. Donkey Kong's a very interesting subject because there's always a debate on who's representing what. We have Donkey Kong, obviously. I think Diddy will be coming back as a standalone. I know that there's a request to see Diddy and Dixie Kong put together, but I think more along the lines of Diddy being a standalone makes more sense. He's more liked as a standalone character, and there's no need to diminish his character by putting him with someone else who could also be a standalone. But because of that, I really do think K. Rool is the better choice to represent the 3rd slot because he's the main villain, and I'd rather have the main villain in the roster rather than the 2nd sidekick. I think if we were getting 2 reps, then that's fine, include them both, but I think we're only going to be getting 1, and in that regard, I think we should just get our Kremlin friend here. So, we have Yoshi, I think he's going to be standalone, and Wario, who I also think will be a standalone this time around. I did want Cat and Nana, but I changed my mind. I still like them, it's just I don't think they're that likely. Stop, my dog. Calm down. So, Legend of Zelda, I kept it the same. I did want Girahim, but I realized that he's really not iconic enough to put in Smash for his franchise. I mean, a lot of people know him and he's well liked, but he's gonna go what I call Zant syndrome, where you're very popular, but when it comes to Smash Bros, if you're not included, you're only in Zelda history. You're forgotten about in Smash Bros history, because a lot of people want him, but if he's not included in the next game, he's not even going to be a thought for the next one, because Zelda's not going to include him in any more games. He was fit to Skyward Sword, and I don't think we're going to be seeing any chronological Zelda games that take place before it or at the time. And with the ending, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be seeing Girahim again, so in that regard, I just don't think we're going to be seeing Girahim in Smash Brothers, maybe as an assist trophy. I still like him though, and I wouldn't mind seeing him as a character, I just don't think he's all the likely. Shulk, I think, has a great chance of being in the game. His franchise is starting to become really big, a lot of popularity towards it, and I think he has a good chance of being included to represent this up-and-coming, young, fresh Nintendo franchise. I mean, it has its age to it. I mean, it's been on the Wii. But I do think with the new installment coming out, a good representative would be the main protagonist, which is Shulk. And he looks like he could be a good fighter. I think with all the popularity he's getting, that he should be included, and that's really up to them. But I'd love to see him. In the Metroid franchise, this is my favorite one to talk about, because this is just loads of fun. Because people can go from a peaceful conversation about characters to a flame war filled with bloodshed and tears and mourning people, all because of our purple dinosaur, pterodactyl, dragon, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, Samus is coming back and Zero Suit's going to be in. Sorry, my dog's shaking his collar. He's going to start crying now because I'm not petting him. Freaking... Okay, good. I'm sorry. So, with Samus in, obviously, and Zero Suit most likely coming back. Now, why do I think Ridley would be in this game? Because I don't think the scale matters. I think with all these characters differentiating in size, Ridley shouldn't be a problem to scale down. I think he would have a great moveset, and I think he represents Metroid perfectly as the main villain. He is the one that killed Samus' parents, so that's one thing. Because some bad blood on the actual battlefield. But I don't think seeing a smaller Ridley would hurt. I think we'd adjust to it, kind of like how people were adjusting to see a smaller Bowser. I think it'd be a fine inclusion, and I think with his popularity in the Americas and everything, I think he is going to get in. I'm pretty confident in that, but don't take me seriously because for all we know, he could just be a stage hazard. but I'd rather see him as a character. So now, the Ice Climbers I left as a standalone, obviously. Villager, same thing. There's really no one else from Animal Crossing that could fight besides him, and that's even a stretch. And I left Pikmin and Olimar too, but I do think Alf has a chance if they make him sort of like a Lucas semi-clone, whereas Pikmin are different, and while one move, or two moves are dedicated to the Pikmin themselves, maybe three, they would function differently. Like, Olimar is all the elemental Pikmin, but Alf could have the rock and the flying one and whatever new ones they included in Pikmin 3. And I think that might be something they would go for if they were to include Alf, but I think one Pikmin rep is fine. So for right now, I'll play it safe and keep Olimar, but that's subject to change. So now, Kid Icarus. Sakurai doesn't want to over-represent his series, but I think one more representative would not hurt, and I think the perfect person is Palutena. She is now one of the most requested females, and I think she would be a great addition to the roster. She is probably the second most important character in Kid Icarus, so it makes sense to include her. She would have a good moveset, and I root for her to be in the game. Hopefully that leak we saw was a real thing. Ness and Lucas, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing back. Ness, I'm 100% sure. Lucas, I don't think will get cut, although a lot of people want him out. But I think he was a great addition to the roster. It was cool that we got to see another character from Ness's franchise. So I think he's fine to stay. Little Mac, we just saw revealed. Thank goodness. I wanted Little Mac so much. That's total bias there. I wanted Little Mac in this game so much, and I'm happy with what they did with this roster because he's very balanced. No air game, but a very devastating ground game, it seems. So I look forward to testing him out when I get my hands on the Smash 4. So now, moving on to the Kirby series, we have Kirby, DDD, and Meta Knight, and no more. Only reason is I considered the other two, Bandana D and Knuckle Gel, were my main two prospects. But I really just think we're fine where we are at representation with Kirby in regards to the characters that would be good in Smash Brothers. It's hard to explain for me, but I think we're okay with who we have now. If we were to get one more, that'd be fine too. It's up to Sakurai, really. Captain Falcon I left as a standalone because despite the mass represented, or I'm sorry, the very little representation, I don't even know why I said mass, I really don't think we'd be seeing anyone else. The most likely characters would be Goro or Black Shadow. They'd be cool to see. I'd rather Black Shadow because he's more of a villain. Goro's more of a rival to Falcon, but Black Shadow's the evil villain. So I think giving Black Shadow a cool moveset with the magic he has and something involving his racer would be very interesting. But right now I think we're just getting Falcon again. And then, of course, Wii Fit Trainer, who's one of the newcomers. I'm happy that they gave her a male skin because she wasn't, like, people counted her as a female character. I don't, and this isn't trying to sound any offense or anything. That's, no, definitely not. This is just me stating that, they didn't really, like, suggest that she was a woman, or he now, because we have a male skin. It really, Wii Fit Trainer kind of identifies the, like, character, but not the gender. You follow? So, giving a male skin kind of proves that they're going to be more diverse with skins, and it makes sense to have both. That's kind of the same thing with the villager. It's not objecting, or it's not pointing out that the villager is a male or female. It's pretty much just stating that it's a villager. So, yeah. Now we move on to Star Fox, which is another thing I love talking about because there's a lot of controversy over it. Because people aren't sure if we're going to be getting 3, 4, or even 2 reps. 2, definitely not. But 3 I can see in the likelihood of, but I'd rather have 4. And I think there's no better 4th newcomer than Crystal because she would be the most unique Star Fox character if done right. Because she has more of a moveset to offer than other characters that we've seen. And while Wolf is a good semi-clone and Falco's a good, not really that great, but he's a decent semi-clone. I think they could change Falco's moveset up a little bit. They could keep Wolf as he was because Wolf was unique enough, but give Falco some newer moves and then include Crystal as that 4th awesome, unique Star Fox character so people can finally shut up about having 3 Fox clones because that's not true. Now, Rob I want back because I think Rob was a cool character to include. I really liked his character. I like how they turned a Famicom edition into an actual fighter in a Smash Brothers game, so it's good to see that they had that creativity at their disposal, and I think Rob will be coming back. Pokemon, I did add Mewtwo. I don't think Lucario being included cut Mewtwo's chances at all. I think it would be interesting to see the newer, popular, iconic Pokemon mixed with the old one, which is Mewtwo. And they are not the same character, and if anyone thinks it's a clone, it's ridiculous to think that, because just because they have the same general B move of charging up a giant sphere does not make them clones. They're 2 totally different characters. So I think seeing them bolted would be great, and I think they're, well, Lucario's already confirmed, but I think Mewtwo's very likely. I also brought back Jigglypuff and Pikachu, of course, And Pokemon Trainer I left at Kanto because the Kanto Pokemon Trainer, the Kanto starters, I should say, are relevant once again thanks to X and Y. So the Pokemon Trainer doesn't really need to change. It's not really a necessary thing. I mean, if you want to go current and bring him to X and Y, then go for it, but I think they're going to just keep him as a Kanto Trainer. So now we move on to Fire Emblem. This is terrifying to talk about because you offend everyone with one simple word, and that's Chrom. But I understand that since there were no cuts, I put Ike in the roster. I don't think Ike's going to be getting cut because they're intending on bringing everyone back but can't due to time. So I think we'd be seeing Ike. And even though people think that Roy got cut, Roy didn't really get cut by choice. It was more like they were forced because it was either him or someone else in Melee, or in Brawl, I'm sorry. So they needed more time, and I think it was between Sonic. So they wanted to include Sonic so they couldn't add Roy, although Roy's date is found in the game. So I don't think Ike's going to be getting that Roy treatment. I think what they're going to do is bring Ike back and also include another Fire Emblem rep, and then we have 3. And hell, if they brought Roy back, that would be incredible, but I'm not counting on that. I'm counting more on Ike, Marth, and either Chrom or Lucina. That's not suggested to Chrom. That was just the only picture I put at the time, but I could take either way. It's fine. I think they're both popular and both represent it well. I just think Chrom has a little more likelihood, but they're both on kind of the same boat. So now we move on to Takamaru. Takamaru would be the ideal retro representative. Now that Sakurai said that he wanted to revive another series, so I think this is kind of what he was hinting at. Takamaru had a little iteration in Nintendo Land, so that kind of gave people an idea of what he was from. He would be a good retro character to have. Although we do have Little Mac, I consider Little Mac more non-retro because of his new game on the Wii, but Takamaru hasn't seen the light of day since like the 90s, I think. So I think it makes more sense to call Takamaru the retro here. I did consider adding Lip and Mach Rider as other retro characters, but for now I'm just going to leave it at Takamaru, and we'll see in time who would be the actual retro to come into Smash. Now I included me, before anyone gets offended, because a lot of people don't like the me. I do think he is a force in Nintendo. He really is a dominant representative in regards to the whole Wii generation. He's iconic. People recognize what a Mii is. He's in a bunch of Nintendo games. He really like symbolizes that entire franchise well, and like the customizable player would be such a unique trait to have in a fighter in Smash Brothers. So I'm all for including the Mii. If they demoted him to an assist trophy or just even like mention him but didn't include him, that's fine too. I'm not I'm not counting life or death if he's included or not, because I like him or her either way. I just put him on here because I think the Mii, I'm sorry if I'm calling him a him, it's just looking at his picture, it's a guy. But I just think the Mii has a good shot at being included as a character, so I put that there. So now Game & Watch, I'm sure, is coming back. He's, if not the most unique fighter already, then one of them. Don't cry. He's one of the most unique characters, but I don't see a need to cut him. He represents the original Nintendo era, so I say we bring Game & Watch back, and I would probably cry and mourn the loss if Game & Watch was not in the next Smash Brothers. Seriously. Okay, not seriously, but still. Third parties now. This is another fun thing to talk about. We already have Sonic and Mega Man back. With Mr. Sakurai stating that he did not plan on having anyone cut, well, not plan on having anyone cut, but he didn't cut anyone yet, I think that's kind of saying that he already got rights to Snake, and with that being said, maybe we'll be seeing Snake again, most likely, because you can't say we haven't cut anyone yet if you know for a fact that Snake wouldn't be coming back. I think that kind of hints at the fact that Snake will be included again, and I'd really like Snake to be back because he was a great character. Despite being a little adult for this game, I think he fit well. And now the last character on this list is Pac-Man. Pac-Man is a touchy subject too, because a lot of people don't like the idea of having him included, but a lot of people do. But the thing with Pac-Man is, you put him in, you complete that retro iconic gaming square with Mega Man, Sonic, and Mario, and I think his moveset would be amazing, to be honest, because it's just so much you could do with Pac-Man that would be so crazy and so unique that people would like. And I think they could cater to everyone if they put him in, because if you don't like Pac-Man, at least you gotta admit he is iconic. Stop barking. He is iconic, so I think it makes sense to include him in the next game. And although Namco isn't getting like a favored character at all, well, I mean, they said they were getting a favorite character, I still think it makes sense to include Pac-Man just for that whole, he's retro, he's iconic, he'd fit well in the Smash universe, and I think his new look does fit well. So that's Pac-Man, that's everyone, and that's what I think. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, or whatever you want to say, please leave them in the comments. It'd be much appreciated. I appreciate it if you took the time to watch this very crude Windows Movie Maker video with me, because I really just wanted to get my point across and state this roster, and yep, that's about it. So thank you everyone, please subscribe, and goodbye. Yep.